191 receiving yards this season and was just named to his first Pro Bowl, and he's joining us now from Minnesota. Adam, first of all, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We really appreciate you getting up and chatting with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So, of course, football, as I've learned from CC, is as much of a team game as you're going to get. But I want to start by asking you sort of an individual honored question. How do you manage to go from undrafted rookie to Pro Bowler in 4 seasons?
Wow, that's a great question. I don't really know. I'm just honestly, I'm just taking it one day at a time. Trying to get better every day. Every off season, kind of put together goals and put together a plan to become a better all-around wide receiver and try to help this team win games as much as I can. So honestly, for me, I don't really think about it too much. Just taking it one day at a time and keep trying to get better.
Okay, one day at a time started a long time ago. Adam, take me back to the first day that you might have ever gone to training camp and saw a Minnesota Viking player. We used to have training camp at Mankato State, which ended up being Minnesota State. So take me back to the first time, your first experience of seeing the Vikings when you were a youth.
Yeah, I was actually, the only time I was able to go was one time I was able to go. I was probably 10, 11 years old probably, and was able to, it was a little after you. Unfortunately, I didn't get your autograph, but got Randy Moss's autograph, which was cool for me. But you two were my favorite, my favorite players. Obviously, you two were guys that really made me want to play the receiver position and maybe want to play at a high level.
Adam, at one point, my son tried out for the Vikings, and he told me one of the most overwhelming thing was seeing those big banners of the Vikings and all the great receivers and my picture being there. Do you feel the pressure of the legacy of the Vikings and the wide receivers, also being a hometown talent? That's your hometown team.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's pressure. I think it's, if anything, it's just you feel honored. You feel, just to be on the same field, to wear the same jerseys as you guys and all the great receivers that like you said, have played before me. It's such an honor and such a privilege, and I'm just so thankful for that opportunity because, like you said, I grew up watching you guys and to know how good you guys were and how much you guys meant to the game and meant to me, it's pretty cool experience for me to be on the other side of things now.
Adam, I want to let the audience know a little bit more about your story. So you go to Minnesota State. It's a Division II school. They don't invite you to the combine. You end up having to go to a regional combine. After you show out at the regional combine, run a 4.4, you are rewarded by not being drafted. You end up going to the Vikings, and they cut you right before the season. At any point, did you think about it? Hey, listen, everyone quits sports at some point. Maybe now is the time. Did you ever think about giving up?
Well, honestly, fortunately for me, I really never had that really time where I had, a couple weeks where I wasn't on a team or something like that. I never really had that opportunity to think, oh man, should I give this up? Is my time done? Things like that. Because the one time I did get cut, they signed me back the next day on the practice squad. So fortunately, I never had that thought come across my head, and I don't know, honestly. I probably would have stuck it out for at least that season to keep giving it a shot, and if nothing happened after that, I probably would have probably figured out something else to do. But no, like I said, I was very fortunate not to really have time to think about that.
Case, I want to ask you about your quarterback situation. It's been, let's just say, a topic of very lengthy discussion, not only on our sports desk here, but I'm sure you've heard it all across since the season started. From very early on this year, Case Keenum's had a relatively short leash. He was sort of week to week, even as he continued to pile up wins. I'm just wondering, now that he's sort of proven his success to this team and you're kind of riding him into the postseason, how impressed you've been with Case Keenum as your quarterback?
Yeah, I've been extremely impressed. The way that he prepares, I mean, that's probably the most impressive thing to me is, he knows the game plan. He has the game plan memorized each week, and he probably knows it better than some of the coaches, which is crazy. And just the time he puts into it, I think he's learned through his career that he might put in too much time at times where he just needs to go home and get away from it. But yeah, I mean, just the way he prepares, the way that he talks to us as receivers and gets us on the same page, and he's just a leader, and he's a guy that as a leader that you want to follow.
Adam, over a year and a half ago, tragic accident, the Vikings practice, one of their most beloved players, knowing players on the team that were there. You were there, talking to the training staff. A horrific day, horrific injury to Teddy Bridgewater. Seeing Teddy go back into the game and the reception that he got, give us some insight on what it meant to you as his teammate and what it might have meant to Teddy and to the rest of the team.
Well, first of all, it was a moment that was tough for me to hold it back. You never want to cry on the football field, as a man, but it was pretty close for me just because I know Teddy so well. I was with him the first day he was here, at rookie camp, and just to see the way that how hard he works, how much he loves the game, how great of a teammate, how great of a friend he is. And then to see the injury and then how all he's done to come back from that, it was a really special moment. Obviously it was a special moment when he had those pads on for the first time and suited up for the first time, and to see him being emotional, it was another one of those moments where it was tough to hold it back. But to see him get on the field again and to live his dream again, it's pretty impressive, and I'm just so happy for him and so happy he's here. He's helped me so much even this season when he's not playing. He's the guy that's, he's on me. If I run a bad route or drop a ball I should have caught or something like that, he's going to tell me, hey, you should have done this or you could have done this better. And that's extremely helpful. And I've learned a lot from him.
Adam, you mentioned holding back tears when Teddy Bridgewater came out. As a woman, let me just tell you, totally cool if you cry. We kind of dig it. So totally don't worry about that. I do want to ask you, you and Stefon Diggs have really helped open up this offense, and it's sort of led to a lot of the success you guys have had down the stretch. How do the two of you complement each other as wide receivers?
Well, I think, first of all, we push each other. We're always on each other's case. We're always giving each other crap for not running a good route, or the same thing with Teddy, and dropping a ball, things like that. We're extremely competitive, and we push each other that way. And on top of that, we feed off each other's energy. When one of us makes a play, it kind of pushes the other person to say, hey, I can do that. I can do it a little better. And so we have a lot of fun with it. We have a lot of fun with the game. We have a lot of love for each other. And we appreciate one another, and I think, like I said, we feed off one another's energy.
All right, Adam, all week long the catch rule's been debated because of a critical play in an AFC game between the Steelers and the Patriots that could determine a bye, could determine the 1 seed. Well, the week before, there's a critical game or critical play in an NFC game that could determine a bye, could determine home field advantage with you guys and the Panthers. Very end of the first half, you got 2 feet, you got a knee, you got a hip. You have the ball the entire time, but yet for a moment right there, you re-catch it, and they took that touchdown away from you. What do you think of the catch rule? Well,
first of all, the way the rule is placed right now, obviously mine was not a catch, and I knew it right away when I felt the ball move a little bit. I kind of figured that they were going to go to review and overturn it. But honestly, in my opinion, I think the Steelers game, I think that's a catch. And even with the rule the way it is, he had possession, he made a football move, the ball crossed the line. That's a touchdown in my opinion. And it is. I don't know if I agree with the rule in the end zone because it's so much different than the field of play, which doesn't really make sense to me. And I think that if you have control of the ball, and who cares if the ball moves a little bit, you have control of the ball, you have 2 feet in, that's a touchdown. But it is what it is, and you got to learn how to control the ball all the way through, and you got to figure out a way to do that.
Well, maybe off the air you can thank your veteran Viking wide receiver Chris Carter for writing that absurd catch rule. All right, real quick on your head coach. So Mike Zimmer for a long time was a top coaching candidate, kept getting interviews and kept not getting jobs. The media reports were he was maybe too honest in the interview room, and it turned off some owners or general managers from hiring him. He's done a great job with you guys, and he comes across as a very intense football guy. Can you tell the audience something that maybe you know about Coach Zimmer that would surprise them, maybe something, a side of him we don't get to see, or maybe that doesn't even exist? I don't know.
Well, as much, rap he gets for being, a tough coach and so hard on his players and things like that. I mean, I would say he's actually a player's coach. He's a guy who, obviously, he's hard on us and he expects a lot out of us, and he wants what's best for us, which is great. But at the same time, he wants us to be happy, and he wants us to win. If we're winning, things are good, and he's going to take care of us. If we're not playing our best and we're not playing hard and things like that, then he's going to get after us. But as long as you take care of Coach Zim, he'll take care of you, and we've seen that this year in the way that we've prepared and when we've handled our business and we watch our film on our own. He's going to give us time off, and he's going to give us a little bit more of a leash.
Adam, last question. Thank you, first of all, again, for taking time with us. You're a big-time dreamer, and you've seen your life a fairy tale come true. Two of my favorite receivers will be playing the Pro Bowl this year for the NFC, and that happens to be two kids from the state of Minnesota. Both of them growing up watching me, watching the Vikings. Adam, tell me, what would it mean for the Vikings in Super Bowl 52, for you and the purple and the skull, for all you guys to take that field? What would it mean for you and the organization to be like, wow, as a little kid, my dream of playing for my favorite team, now playing and representing the Super Bowl? What would it mean for the city?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it mean a ton to this locker room. I mean, all the work we put in, all the time, and all the OTAs and training camp and all that stuff that we've done to get to this point. It would mean a lot to us. And then, like you said, growing up a Vikings fan, watching you guys do what you did, and that you feel that from the fans. You want it bad for them as well, because it's been so long since the Vikings have been even in a Super Bowl, and then obviously never won one. So and all those tough years with the missed field goals, and all those years that we almost had it. You kind of bring that with you this year, and I think even guys that didn't grow up as Vikings fans, they feel that. They know how bad the fans want it. They know how much they care. Even when we've been bad, the fans have stuck around us, which sometimes you don't get around the NFL. So yeah, I think it would definitely mean something, and it would be big for us. But at the same time, we're just going to take it one game at a time and keep trying to get better and try not to look too far ahead.
Well, Adam, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We love watching you play. It's been a pleasure. I know these guys